Imagine opening a fully staffed, fully stocked, wildly successful pizzeria right in the middle of a bustling city. Now imagine doing that without, signing a lease, without hiring a single employee,
Right.
without setting up any supply chain for your ingredients, and without spending a single dime of capital.
Yeah.
You don't build the business. You just convince the fundamental laws of physics that the business has already been there for years.
It is genuinely staggering to even contemplate.
It really is. Today, you and I are doing a deep dive into a documentary transcript about a woman who didn't just figure out how to hack the economy to do exactly this. She figured out how to hack physical reality itself. Welcome, everyone, to Off the Record.
It is a profound pleasure to be here. I have to say the source material we are examining today regarding Dr. Eliza Marrow and the TerminIRL architecture is, well, without hyperbole, the most destabilizing collection of scientific documentation I have ever read in my life.
Destabilizing is the absolute perfect word for it. And I want to be crystal clear with you right up front, listener. This isn't a story about, like, a new augmented reality app for your phone or a virtual reality headset or some metaverse concept.
No, absolutely not.
This is a rigorous, terrifyingly real deep dive into a technology that fundamentally alters the tangible, physical matter of the universe.
It is a true paradigm shift. I mean, it completely invalidates the foundational assumptions of classical mechanics.
It does. But before we dive into the really heavy science of rewriting existence, I do need to make a quick administrative note. Our exacting, perpetually unsmiling director, Ryan Thomas, has decided to treat us today in the studio.
He certainly has.
Yeah, he has curated this incredible multi-course meal for us, alongside a very generous selection of paired alcoholic drinks for this session.
It is quite the spread, I must say. I believe I'm currently holding a rather spectacular 2018 Barolo.
Oh, it is fantastic. Now, Ryan, being the absolute taskmaster that he is, has also mandated that we perform a vocal warm-up before we begin the heavy lifting.
Yes, the mandated exercise.
Right. He claims it improves our, and I quote, enunciation under the influence of complex polysyllabic terminology. So, if you'll indulge us, listener, on three.
On three.
1, 2, 3. Liam Neeson's niece, Lisa Neeson, recently leased a really nice Nissan.
Liam Neeson's niece, Lisa Neeson, recently leased a really nice Nissan.
Executed with complete precision. Utterly professional. Take that, Ryan.
Indeed.
All right, let's get into the actual meat of this. Let's look at the landscape of the 2030s. If we are going to understand how Dr. Eliza Marrow bypassed the fundamental laws of matter, we need to understand what those laws were universally agreed to be at the time.
Precisely. So in the 2030s, the scientific consensus regarding reality was that it was a fixed, immovable construct. Matter behaved according to incredibly strict, verifiable rules.
Right.
Time flowed in one linear direction. Probability fluctuated at the quantum level, yes, but always within completely known, rigorous mathematical boundaries. The universe was viewed as a closed system of irreversible causality.
Right, it's the old cause and effect model. You drop a glass, it shatters. You can't unshatter the glass because the entropy has already been spent.
Exactly.
Enter Dr. Eliza Marrow, a middle-aged systems engineer. And she was not a theoretical physicist by trade, which I actually think is totally crucial here, but someone specializing in computational particle topology.
That background is the key to everything. Theoretical physicists were looking at quantum mechanics and trying to find the ultimate unbreakable law at the bottom of it all. But Marrow, as a systems engineer, looked at quantum mechanics and saw an architecture.
Yeah.
She saw an operating system. And at some point in her career, she made this radical, frankly heretical decision. She decided that physics wasn't final.
She just stopped treating the laws of matter as absolute commandments and started treating them as default settings.
Exactly. Her foundational theory was introduced in a highly controversial paper on what she termed behavioral uncertainty mapping. Now, in traditional quantum mechanics, as you well know, when you observe a subatomic particle, its waveform collapses into a single definite state. Most physicists looked at this collapse and saw random behavior dictated by pure statistical chance.
But not Marrow. Where traditional physicists saw randomness, Marrow saw what she called soft instructions. I was actually thinking about how to explain this to you, the listener, and I realized we've been using the wrong metaphor for reality for centuries.
Oh.
Yeah. Think of reality not as a printed, uneditable PDF document. Because for hundreds of years, that's how we viewed the universe, right? Like a PDF. The ink is dry, you can't change it, you can only read it. But Marrow looked at the subatomic lattice and realized reality is actually a shared Google Doc.
Wow, that is an exceptionally precise way to frame the paradigm shift. Because in a PDF, the data is locked. But in a cloud-based document, The data is constantly being refreshed and checked against the server.
Right, the particles around us, the wood of this desk, the glass of wine in your hand, they aren't solid, permanent objects with historical permanence. They are editable agreements.
Editable agreement.
They are constantly pinging the network, asking, should I be here? Should I be solid? Is this still the consensus?
And that framework leads directly to Marrow's concept of PRNs, or permission resonance nodes. She hypothesized that reality is constructed entirely from these permission states, which are encoded in probabilistic lattices across the quantum field.
Okay.
And she didn't just theorize this, she mathematically modeled these nodes into 4 distinct states of subatomic existence.
Okay, let's walk through those 4 states, because this is where the science gets really granular.
Certainly. So the first state is exist. This is when the particle is fully collapsed, fully tangible, and historically anchored. It is the solid desk.
Makes sense.
The second state is may exist, which is standard waveform superposition. The particle could be anywhere within a probability curve until observed.
Right.
The third state is will not collapse, which is a state of localized impossibility. A particle simply cannot manifest there because the localized physics forbid it.
And then there's the 4th state. This is the one that really jumped off the page of the documentary transcript for me. Observed conditional existence.
It is the linchpin of her entire theory, and really the foundation of the TerminIRL technology. Observed conditional existence suggests that a particle's physical manifestation is entirely contingent on the contextual requirement of the observer, rather than its own historical inertia.
Okay, but wait. I have to push back on this a little bit because I want to make sure we're explaining the how and not just the what.
Of course.
If reality is just a series of permission states, like some cosmic bouncer checking IDs at the door of existence, who or what is granting the permission? Like, is she implying there is a central server? Is she implying a conscious universe or a god?
That is exactly the critique her peers used to dismiss her early work. They accused her of philosophical drift and intelligent design. But Marrow's answer was purely mathematical, and it was brilliant. She argued that there is no central authority granting permission, there is no server, it is a peer-to-peer network.
A peer-to-peer network. Unpack that for me.
She called it probability mass density. The permission isn't granted from above, it is granted by the localized consensus of the surrounding lattice. If you introduce extreme observation density, like if you forcefully apply a specific observational requirement to a localized area, the surrounding permission resonance nodes can be nudged into alternative coherence pathways.
Nudged, not forced.
Exactly. You cannot grab a particle and physically move it against its will. That requires infinite energy. But you can nudge the probability of where it might decide to collapse.
Wow.
If you introduce enough of the right kind of structured observation, the universe simply agrees with you to save energy. The surrounding particles essentially say it is thermodynamically cheaper to let this particle exist here than to fight the observation density.
It's the path of least resistance, but applied to actual physical matter. That's incredibly heavy.
It fundamentally redefines what it means to exist.
I think that warrants a substantial sip of Ryan's curated beverage, don't you?
I am already ahead of you.
Good Lord, Ryan, that is a really heavy pour. He is not messing around with his pairing today. It's fantastic, but wow, it definitely has a kick.
It does have a remarkably robust structure, much like a tightly bound permission resonance node, perhaps.
Look at you making physics wine jokes. I love it. But seriously, the drink is hitting the spot, and it perfectly sets us up for the next phase of Marrow's life. Because she didn't just stay in academia theorizing about Google Docs and peer-to-peer permission nodes. She actually built something to interface with it. She built TerminIRL.
Yes, though I think it is important to note that TerminIRL was not initially designed to alter reality.
Right.
In its earliest iterations, versions 0.1 through 0.8, it was merely a diagnostic tool, a highly advanced wearable interface designed to read what she called environmental probability drift. It was meant to observe the lattice, to measure the exact state of those PRNs, but never to interfere with them.
Right, it's a thermometer. You stick it in the turkey, it tells you the temperature. But then we get to version 0.9. And here's where it gets really interesting.
Indeed. Version IRL introduced PDI, or particle directive injection. This is where TerminIRL crossed the line from a thermometer to a thermostat.
Yeah.
As we just discussed, at the subatomic level, all matter exists in a constant state of waveform negotiation. It is constantly resolving ambiguity based on the peer-to-peer network. Well, PDI introduced a way to inject structured intent directly into that negotiation.
Structured intent. I really want to make sure the listener grasps this. TerminIRL didn't use energy to change things. It didn't use a massive particle accelerator or a high-powered laser beam or a magnetic field or, physical force. She used semantic probability pressure, which just sounds like absolute sci-fi magic.
It sounds like magic until you break down the mechanism she used to apply this pressure. The engine of TerminIRL relied on what she called IRL tokens, intrinsic reality likelihood tokens.
Yes, okay, let's break down these IRL tokens, because if PDI is the engine, the tokens are the fuel. And I want you to explain this because the documentary's breakdown is so elegant. Every single token has 3 mandatory components, correct?
Correct. The first component is the simplest, semantic intent. This is the pure data of what is desired. On a macroscopic level, it might be, I want a cup of coffee.
Okay.
But on the subatomic level, the TerminIRL device translates that desire into a highly specific geometrical requirement for carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen molecules.
Got it. The what?
The second component is contextual anchoring. This is the where, the when, and the why. It is not enough to simply demand a cup of coffee. The token must specify, I require a cup of coffee to exist on the spatial coordinates of this desk at exactly 8:00 a.m. because it is the logical progression of my morning routine.
So it makes sense.
The anchoring makes the semantic intent seem historically plausible to the surrounding lattice.
It gives the universe an excuse to allow it.
Precisely. But the third component, this is the limiting factor, the entropy budget.
The entropy budget, I love this concept so much.
Yeah.
Explain how the entropy budget restricts the token.
Well, the entropy budget dictates exactly how much deviation reality can tolerate before it snaps back to its original shape. You see, the universe has a strict localized accounting system for probability. The entropy budget is your margin of error.
Right.
If you activate an IRL token with an enormous semantic intent, say, you demand that $1 million in gold bars suddenly appears in your living room, the lattice will calculate the mathematical improbability of that event.
It will realize it makes 0 contextual sense.
Exactly. It requires too much probability mass to shift all at once. The required deviation exceeds the localized entropy budget. The lattice rejects the token. The waveform snaps back like an overstretched rubber band. The reality remains unchanged.
Wow.
Well, isn't that just like love, really?
Wait, what did you just say?
I'm thinking about the mechanics of the snapback. You try to build a life with someone. You introduce your semantic intent. You want a future. You want a house in the suburbs. You set the contextual anchoring. You try to make it logically inevitable, but you push the timeline too hard. You demand too much change. You ask them to be someone they aren't ready to be, and you exceed the entropy budget. And the universe snaps back, the probability collapses, and she takes the dog.
Oh my God. Haha, are you being serious right now?
I just really miss the dog sometimes. His name was Barnaby. He was a golden retriever mix. Very high contextual anchoring in my life.
Barnaby. Oh, you sad, beautiful genius. Listen, don't worry about Barnaby right now. The dog is in the past. We have plenty of semantic intent right here in this studio. Look at us. We're changing reality just by talking about it.
Suppose.
I'm injecting semantic probability pressure into you right now to make you smile. I'm nudging your waveform. Is it working?
The entropy budget for my happiness is quite low at the moment, but yes, I suppose you are nudging the waveform. Your intent is appreciated.
See, we're flirting with physics. We are manipulating the localized lattice. Oh shit, wait. I almost forgot. The plug.
The plug. The electrical plug.
No, Ryan's contract. We have to do the YouTube plug right now or we're in breach.
Right.
If I don't do it, he's going to withhold the next course of the meal, and I can literally smell risotto. Okay, listener, stop what you are doing. Listen to me very carefully. You need to go to YouTube right now. Search for HAM-OTR. That is HAM-OTR. It is the official channel for Off the Record. You need to like and subscribe. Do it now. Do it for Barnaby the dog.
Yes, please subscribe. A higher subscriber count might increase the observation density of my life. For Barnaby.
Yeah, Ryan is such a shithead for making us do these mid-show ad reads. It completely ruins the conversational flow of the probability lattice.
It is a highly disruptive injection of commercial intent, certainly. It violates the contextual anchoring of our scientific discussion.
Total shithead. But honestly, between you and me, I kind of want to sit on his lap. Don't tell him I said that. I hate his rules, but the man curates a hell of a Barolo.
I will absolutely not tell him, though as the director, he is literally sitting behind the glass listening to the live audio feed right now.
Oh, right. Hi, Ryan. Bring us more wine, you tyrant.
Yeah.
And maybe that lap. Anyway, let's get back to the science before we get completely derailed here. We were talking about tokens. When you activate an IRL token, you aren't forcing massive instantaneous change. You are subtly redistributing probability mass across adjacent timelines.
Correct. Traditional physics treats observation as an entirely passive act. You look at a thing, you measure the thing, you record the data.
Right.
But TerminIRL treats observation as programmatic participation. If you issue these IRL tokens repeatedly, consistently at scale, you produce what Marrow classified as macro collapse drift, or MCD.
MCD, let's make sure the listener understands this. Macro collapse drift is the accumulation of millions of tiny, low-energy probability nudges. It's like water carving a canyon over a million years, but instead of water, it's just like mathematical vibes. You just keep telling the universe a certain truth over and over until the universe gets tired of fighting you and just accepts it as the new baseline reality.
That is certainly an increasingly informal way to interpret the data, but scientifically accurate. However, the danger of macro collapse drift cannot be overstated. Which brings us to the access protocols. TerminIRL was never at any point released to the public. The military didn't get it. Tech conglomerates didn't get it. It simply couldn't be released.
Thank God. Imagine social media. Imagine Twitter. But instead of posting angry tweets, people were actively rewriting the physical properties of your house. It would be the end of the world in 5 minutes.
A horrifying apocalyptic thought. To prevent this, the documentary outlines what Marrow's team called the family protocol. Access to the TerminIRL network required 3 incredibly strict interwoven conditions.
Okay, lay them on me.
First, a biometric entropy signature to ensure the physical identity of the user. Second, a rigorous cognitive coherence test to ensure the user's brainwaves were focused enough to generate stable semantic intent. And third, an emotional stability threshold, which had to be maintained within plus or minus 0.07 variance units.
I'm sorry, I have to stop you. Emotional stability threshold.
Yeah.
0.07 variance units. Oh my God. We wouldn't pass that right now. We'd be locked out of the app before we even finish this first bottle of Barolo.
I believe my personal variance unit is currently hovering somewhere around a negative 4.2.
You are a wonderful cunt. You know that.
I take that in the exact spirit of affection in which it was intended.
Term of supreme endearment. Truly.
Oh.
But seriously, think about the physiological requirements of 0.07. That requires the user to be essentially a meditating Zen monk. You can't use TerminIRL if you're angry or sad or distracted or, God forbid, drunk, because your emotional state directly infects the semantic intent of the IRL token. Right.
Precisely. The device reads the user's complete neurochemical state. If your mind is chaotic, your intent is chaotic. And if your intent is chaotic, the probability drift you inflict on the physical world will be violently unstable. The universe might try to give you a cup of coffee, but because you were angry, the coffee might manifest at boiling temperatures directly inside your lungs.
Jesus. That's terrifying.
This extreme danger is why only 1,412 users were ever granted even partial, heavily restricted access to the network, mostly for minor, highly controlled diagnostic testing. But the full, unbridled right access functionality, that was reserved exclusively for Dr. Marrow and her immediate adult children.
The Marrow family, the architects of reality. And what did they do with unlimited power over the fabric of existence? They quit their day jobs.
Yes, they did.
Her son, David, gave this interview in the documentary, and he literally said, "I quit my corporate accounting job because my mother showed me a receipt for a deposit that didn't logically exist yet." That is, without a doubt, the hardest flex in the entire history of economics.
It is entirely unprecedented. They formed a corporate entity they called Localized Reality Ventures, or LRVs. They wanted to test the absolute limits of macro collapse drift in a commercial setting, and their very first experiment was a pizzeria.
Vesuvia IRL. I love this part so much. It's my favorite part of the whole deep dive. Listener, I really need you to picture this. They wanted to open a restaurant in a specific vacant storefront in downtown Seattle. Normally, what do you need to do that? You need capital.
Of course.
You need to go to a bank, pitch a business plan, and secure a massive loan. You need to sign a multi-year lease on the building. You have to hire general contractors to build out a commercial kitchen, install ovens, pass health inspections. Then you have to secure a supply chain for flour, tomatoes, mozzarella, pepperoni. You have to hire staff. It takes months, sometimes years, and hundreds of thousands of dollars.
That is the standard linear model of causality. Effort leads to capital, capital leads to acquisition, acquisition leads to manifestation.
But the Marrow family used TerminIRL.
They bypassed the entirety of the causal chain. They had no funding, they had no inventory, they hadn't even spoken to the landlord of the building. They simply sat in a room and issued a relentless, perfectly stable chain of IRL tokens into the localized probability field of that specific street address.
They just started bombarding the lattice with semantic intent. Commercial kitchen compliance already satisfied.
High-grade pizza ingredient procurement loop resolved without upfront capital expenditure.
Customer awareness organically seeded within a 5-mile walking radius. They literally just sat there and told the fundamental laws of the universe, hey, listen to me. A fully functioning, incredibly popular pizzeria is right here, and it's perfectly legal and normal. And the universe, because of the sheer density of the probability pressure, went, oh, okay, yeah, I guess so. My mistake.
The scientific mechanism they utilize to accomplish this is fascinating, and it requires us to understand VSRF, Vacancy-State Redistribution Fields.
Okay, wait, hold on. Let me just pour some more wine first. Let's make sure we explain this really clearly, because this is where the physics and the economics just completely smash into each other. In standard human economics, you have to buy a thing to own a thing. Acquisition requires a monetary exchange.
Exactly. But in VSRF dynamics, the foundational rule is entirely inverted. Availability precedes ownership. It is a complete subversion of causality as we understand it. TerminIRL shifted the probabilities. The probabilities. I am slightly losing my enunciation under the influence of the, what did Ryan call it?
The complex terminology. You're doing great, sweetie. Keep going.
Thank you. It shifted the probabilities so that wholesale food suppliers had already agreed to deliver the ingredients. The Lattice retroactively altered the memories and digital records of the suppliers. The inventory had already arrived in the refrigerators of Vesuvia IRL because the localized reality vacuum demanded that the space be filled with mozzarella cheese to maintain structural coherence.
It just spawned the cheese. But what about the money? This is the part that completely breaks my brain. The money to pay the suppliers for the flour and the cheese. Because you can't just steal it. The universe demands equilibrium. The documentary says the financial payments resolve retroactively via a process called nonlinear accounting collapse.
Yes. The formal term for the macroeconomic application of this is temporal offset monetization. Time.
Nonlinear accounting collapse. I need to say that out loud again. Nonlinear accounting collapse. It sounds so fucking profound.
It is profoundly disruptive to the global financial system.
Linear accounting collapse. I want that on a T-shirt right across the chest. I want to walk into my bank tomorrow to look the teller dead in the eye and tell them that my mortgage is undergoing a nonlinear accounting collapse. Sorry, Brenda, I don't owe you anything. The probability waveform of my debt has snapped back.
Essentially, what they achieved with Tom was this. Instead of spending physical money to create the physical goods, they used the tokens to artificially stabilize a desired outcome state. The state being, the pizza already exists and the supplier is completely satisfied with the transaction.
Right.
Then they allowed the probability drift to find the most thermodynamically efficient, compliant supply paths to justify that outcome. The revenue events, the customers coming in, buying the pizza, the money transferring to the bank transferring the funds to the supplier, all appeared logically inevitable in hindsight. The math just filled itself in backwards.
So like I said, oh wait, what was I saying? Right, the son, David. David said in his interview that they didn't actually sell pizza, they just manipulated the localized field so that the act of not buying a pizza when you walk past the store felt statistically unlikely to the customer. They weaponized cravings via quantum mechanics.
I spent 10 years. 10 years of my life picks off my advanced degree student loans.
Oh no, oh honey.
10 years of eating instant ramen in a studio apartment, working 2 jobs, grading undergraduate papers until my eyes bled, and I could have just used temporal offset monetization.
I know.
I could have made the debt retroactively resolve. I could have non-linearly collapsed my accounting. I could have kept Barnaby.
Hey, it's okay. Shh. Drink the Barolo. Let the Barolo collapse your accounting.
I'm sorry, my nose is running. It's just not fair. The system is rigged. I paid so much interest. The compound interest alone. The probability drift of my bank account over that decade was an absolute tragedy. It was a localized impossibility of wealth.
Focus. Come on, pull it together. We are professionals. We are award-winning hosts. So what does this all mean for the listener?
What does what mean?
What does it mean for the listener? Wait. I don't even know. I totally lost my train of thought. You know what it means. It means you are brilliant. You are so unbelievably smart.
I
Yes. You sit here and you perfectly explain VSRF dynamics and macro collapse drift, and you make it sound like poetry. You are a beautiful, sad genius, and I genuinely love doing this deep dive with you. This whole physics thing, this whole documentary transcript, it is a complete mindfuck.
A mindfuck, yes. I
Yeah.
believe that is the correct clinical terminology.
To or noun, total mindfuck. Okay, let's look at the dark side of this. Because it wasn't all just free mozzarella and retroactively collapsed accounting ledgers. There were consequences. The universe doesn't like being forced to do accounting tricks.
Yes, you are correct. I am sorry. I am regaining my composure. The system was not perfect. Critics in the scientific community argued vehemently that TerminIRL violated fundamental causality ethics. Marrow supporters dismissed this, claiming that causality was just high inertia probability clustering. But the internal server logs? The logs revealed the true cost, the URAs.
Unrequested reality artifacts. This part of the documentary actually gave me chills. It's like a ghost story written in math. Tell them about the logs.
Because the Marrow family was forcing the localized probability field to accommodate the massive, sudden existence of a fully operational pizzeria, the surrounding reality had to aggressively bend to make the timeline make sense. It caused severe probability leakage into adjacent conceptual spaces. Customers would walk into Vesuvia IRL, and they would vividly remember eating menu items that the family hadn't even invented yet.
Phantom garlic knots. People swearing they had the garlic knots there last year when the restaurant didn't exist last year.
It goes much deeper and much darker than garlic knots. Staff members, human beings. People appeared on the payroll ledger, physically clocked in, working the ovens in the kitchen, claiming they had always worked there. The probability math required a certain number of staff to cook the volume of pizza being sold, so the universe just generated them. It pulled them from adjacent timelines to fill the vacuum.
This is what I can't handle. Who the fuck are these phantom employees? Where did they come from? Do they have social security numbers? Do they have childhood memories? If you cut them, do they bleed, or do they just collapse back into a waveform?
It is entirely possible, mathematically speaking, that their entire personal history, their childhoods, their memories of their parents was instantaneously backfilled by the entropy budget to justify their presence at the pizza oven. They're real, but their past is a mathematical fiction.
Oh my God. What if Ryan Thomas is a URA?
Pardon? Ryan, the director.
Think about it. What if Ryan Thomas doesn't even actually exist? What if we just desperately needed a director for the show, so the universe manifested a grumpy, exacting guy with a great wine collection to fulfill our probability requirement?
I mean, he has a pulse. I think he has a pulse. He yelled at me about the microphone placement earlier.
Is a probability leakage in our own studio? He's not real. But my God, it's so tragic. Because I still want to sit on his lap. It's a complete paradox. I want to sit on a non-existent man's lap. My semantic intent is completely misaligned with reality.
This is getting incredibly complicated, ethically and spatially speaking.
Oh, wait. Let me try to logic this out. Let's go back to the Google Doc analogy. If reality is a PDF... No, wait. I said reality was not a PDF. If reality is an editable Google Doc and Ryan is just a typo, a typo that got accepted by all the editors, then causality doesn't matter. Causality is a cock.
A cock.
Yes. Causality is a rigid, annoying, inflexible thing that just gets in the way of a good time and free pizza.
Wait, did I just contradict myself? In segment 1, I said the Google Doc was a good thing because it was editable and collaborative.
Yeah.
But now the edits are making fake human beings work in kitchens. That's bad.
Right.
Fake people is bad.
The edits are bleeding. That is the fundamental problem. The probability leakage expanded far beyond the walls of the pizzeria. The documentary noted that adjacent businesses began suffering from TerminIRL's reality drift. The universe was borrowing probability mass from the neighbors to fund the pizzeria's existence.
Oh, right. The missing histories. Explain what happened to the neighborhood. Entire construction histories of neighboring buildings just vanished from the city's archives. A dry cleaner next door suddenly found that their lease records had been altered retroactively, shortening their tenancy. People walking down the street had completely false, vivid memories of visiting retail stores that no longer existed because the spatial requirement of Vesuvia IRL forcefully pushed those stores out of the dominant timeline. The pizzeria essentially cannibalized the reality of the block.
It's terrifying. It's a localized black hole of truth.
There is a quote from Dr. Marrow in the archive audio toward the end of the documentary. It is the most devastatingly tragic thing I have ever heard in my entire academic career.
What is it? Read it to me. Give me the profound wisdom.
She was looking at the URAs, the phantom employees, and she said, if reality adapts too easily to our intent, you have to ask whether it was ever fixed at all.
Oh,
Do you understand the philosophical implications of what that means? It means nothing is real. The foundation of existence is a lie. This Barolo isn't real. My student loans were real. Unfortunately, they were incredibly real, but nothing else is. The universe is just a wet paper bag of suggestions. We are just mathematical suggestions waiting to be overwritten by someone with a stronger IRL token.
Hey, look at me. Look at my eyes. You are real to me, okay? Your beautiful, giant, incredibly sad brain is real to me. Come here, give me your glass. Let me pour you some more of this completely fake, phenomenal suggestion wine.
It is very good suggestion wine. It has a wonderful mouthfeel for a localized impossibility.
It really does. Ryan knows his impossible
Okay,
wines. Okay, we need to wrap this up. We need to land the plane or collapse the waveform, whatever the metaphor is. We need to finish the deep dive.
Yes, the epilogue of the documentary, the final summation.
Right. Barely holding it together here, folks.
Yay.
But if we try to pull all of this together, TerminIRL's true nature, it wasn't just an app, and it wasn't a weapon. It was, as they called it, a distributed semantic interference engine.
Yes, acting on wavefunction consensus fields, enabling low-energy intent injection into macroscopic collapse outcomes. It proved that if you speak the exact right mathematical language, the universe will bend.
Yes. But think about the mechanics of that bending. We've talked about it this whole time. It doesn't shatter the glass.
Yeah.
It doesn't break causality with a hammer. It negotiates. It offers an alternative.
It reorganizes the consensus.
Exactly. It doesn't break physics. It persuades it.
Wait, say that again.
It persuades it. It doesn't break physics. It persuades it.
Persuades.
My God. Do you feel that?
Yeah.
That is so beautiful.
It is poetry, pure physical poetry. It seduces the fundamental laws of nature.
We have literally uncovered the greatest, most profound insight in human history right here on this show, on our third glass of wine. We are geniuses.
Well, to be entirely fair, that exact phrase was the final line read by the narrator in the documentary, so it is a direct quote from the source material. But yes, we arrived at it organically. We have perceived it.
We brought it into our reality. We persuaded the insight to exist in our studio.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. I am awestruck. Truly deeply awestruck. My variance units are completely unmoored.
Mine too.
Okay.
Okay. Listener,
Yeah.
you've stuck with us through a lot of heavy wine and a staggering amount of quantum topology today. But I want to leave you with a final thought, something provocative to chew on while you stare at the ceiling in the dark tonight.
Yes. Lay it on them.
If Dr. Eliza Marrow mathematically proved that reality can be nudged, that the physical universe can be altered simply by whispering structured intent into the vacuum, what if you've been accidentally whispering into the vacuum your whole life?
Oh, that is devastatingly good.
Think about it, listener. What if your worst days, your string of bad luck, your failed relationships, sorry again about Barnaby, what if it isn't the universe actively punishing you? What if it's just your own bad probability math? What if you've been unknowingly putting out the wrong IRL tokens, broadcasting negative semantic intent, and the universe is just politely complying with your own self-sabotage?
We are all writing the Google Doc every single day.
We are all writing the doc. Be careful what you type into the vacuum.
I am so utterly exhausted, physically and conceptually.
I am too. I love you. You know that.
I love you too. And I love the fake wine.
And I love you, listener. Never forget that. We love you. Ryan Thomas, you absolute shithead. Bring us more food and bring me that lap. We are done here. Nonlinear accounting collapse.
Nonlinear accounting collapse.
Nonlinear accounting collapse.
Good night, everybody. Collapse your waveforms.